So, introductions at work. You know that moment on a Zoom call, a group of people coming together for the first time, everyone's going around the room doing quick intros, and then suddenly it's your turn to literally just say your name, and your heart jumps. You blank for a second, and you're thinking, why am I nervous? This is supposed to be easy. If you're like me, it's not about being afraid to speak. It's not even about confidence. It's just at those moments, the quick tell us about yourself kind of thing, they always feel like a performance. Like there's this invisible pressure to sound clever, to say something that lands, or just get it right. That's what we're talking about today. How to introduce yourself at work in a way that feels natural, grounded, and actually like you. It's also the first part of a new mini-series I'm doing called Subtle Scripts, where I share the words and language that help you handle those moments at work that feel high stakes and send you straight into freeze mode. There is a full Subtle Scripts pack with examples like this. I'll link it below if you want to explore it later. But first, let's talk about why introductions matter in the first place, especially if you're awfully quiet. You know, on paper, it's just an introduction, right? A few seconds, nothing dramatic, not too deep, but there is more to it than that. Those moments seem small, like a quick intro at a project kickoff, a casual "how are you" with a senior leader, or like the dreaded "tell us about yourself" in an interview. They feel harmless at first, until you realize they kind of decide how people see you. It is wild how much those small moments, those few seconds, do for you. They set the tone, they quietly tell people how to remember you or whether to remember you at all. Because introductions aren't really about your job title only. They're about your energy, the way you speak, the little spark or calm or curiosity you bring in. That's what people feel first. So yeah, introductions matter. They are not just first impressions. They are quiet positioning moments. You're basically saying, here's who I am, here's how I move, and here's what you can count on from me. And for those of us who are naturally quiet, this is actually a big game changer. It's what takes you from blending in to being thought of when it counts for the opportunities you really desire. You don't need to be louder to do that or fake confidence, be anything or anyone you're not. You just need to know what you bring and speak from there. That's the quiet flex. And once you get that, it changes everything. If you're into this whole idea of reframing what it means to be awfully quiet at work, you might want to hit subscribe. No pressure at all. It just means you'll catch the next episode right when it drops. Think of it as joining the quiet PR team. Like we're basically rebranding what it means to be awfully quiet, but be seen at work. And yeah, it helps awfully quiet find more people who would rather get a subtle nudge than another speak louder to be noticed pep talk. Anyway, let's get back into it. Okay, first things first. Let's talk about the most common trap. You know that moment when it's introductions in a meeting and your turn to speak and you go, "Hi, I'm Hannah. I'm a senior brand manager. I work on this brand." Yeah, that one. I still do it sometimes too. And look, it's fine. It's factual. It gets the job done, but it doesn't really say anything about you. It doesn't tell people how you think or what it's like to work with you. It's just information, not connection. And because we all do it, it kind of blurs together, doesn't it? Like, let's be honest, how often do you actually listen when everyone's going around the room and introducing themselves? You're just waiting for your turn, rehearsing your line in your head, and it's the same for everyone else. So if you want people to remember you, you've got to break that pattern. You don't need to perform, you just need to show a bit of how you think. There's a simple way to do it, and I use a little framework for myself. It has 3 parts. It's what you do, how you do it, and why you're here. That's it. I call them your anchor, your angle, and your approach. Your anchor is the basics, who you are and what you do. Something like, "Hi, I'm Hannah. I work in brand strategy on one of our global brands." It's simple, clear, and grounded. Your angle is how you think, the lens you bring. That's what makes people go, "Oh, interesting." So for me, that might be, I focus on making sure we reach the right audience with the right message at the right time. and that our decisions are grounded in facts, not assumptions. That's not a title, it's a point of view. It tells people how I work. And then there's your approach, your intention, why you're here in this moment, or what you'll be focusing on. Something like, for this project, I'll be bringing in insights from past campaigns and helping us stay grounded when everyone starts having opinions, which we always do. It's friendly, it's human, and it gives people context for what to expect from you. Put it all together and it sounds like this. Hi, I'm Hannah. I work in brand strategy on one of our global brands. I focus on making sure we reach the right audience with the right message at the right time. And for this project, I'll be bringing in insights from past campaigns to help us stay grounded in what actually connects. See? It's calm, confident, and clear. People instantly get who you are and what you bring without you having to overly sell yourself. Now let me show you how this sounds like in a few different settings. Let's say you're new to the organization. You might say something like, "Hi, I'm Hannah. I just joined the digital team. My background is in social strategy, so I've spent my first week going through our socials, kind of obsessing over what's been performing and what hasn't. I'm pulling together some first thoughts and questions while everything still feels fresh. And you'll probably hear me jump in when it comes to influencer content, because that is where I spend most of my time in my previous role." See how that lands? It's curious, specific, and it quietly tells people how you think, what you bring, your lens. Now, let's say you're connecting with a senior leader, you're more seasoned, and you want to signal where you want to grow, where you want to develop next. You could say, "Thanks for taking the time. Since we last spoke, I've been working on this big global campaign, and it has really taught me a lot about how global and local teams work together. And honestly, it stretched me in the best way. I have had to influence across teams without formal leadership, and I've realized how much I enjoy that. If similar projects come up, I would love to be considered. It feels like the right next step for me toward a global role." See, that's human. It's not rehearsed. It signals ambition and direction without trying too hard. So once you've got your anchor, angle, and approach, the next step is making it sound like you. So how do you actually make it sound like you? That is where most of us trip up. We want to sound articulate, polished, confident, and then we all end up saying the same thing. "Hi, I'm Hannah. I work in brand strategy." Monotone, predictable, gone before it even lands. Breaking that pattern doesn't mean being louder. It just means you need to be real. You know what actually makes people look up? A pause, a tiny awkward silence, taking a second before you speak. That's the part that makes people listen, lean in. It's not about being slick. It's about finding your rhythm, your words, and cutting through that corporate noise. And honestly, why not turn the very thing you're accused of, being awfully quiet, into your advantage? I talked about this once with Matt Abrahams from Think Faster, Talk Smarter, one of the very first episodes we did on Awfully Quiet. And he said something that really stuck with me. He said that in corporate, we're kind of addicted to templates, the safe phrases or corporate jargon we can pull out anytime. The ones that sound right, even if they don't actually sound like us. And I remember thinking, that is so true. We end up repeating the same polished lines just to avoid that tiny risk of silence or saying something imperfect. But the people we actually remember, they don't sound perfect. They break that pattern. You can feel their personality in their voice. So instead of chasing polish, focus on what actually sounds like you. And that ties into another conversation I had on the podcast with Haley Dawson from Let's Talk Human Skills about something she calls your confident voice. Because what most of us do when we're new or nervous in a room is we go a little louder, we go a little higher, it's like a little bit of a higher pitch. We're trying to sound sure, confident. But the voice that really connects is the one that feels like you, feels grounded, calm, steady. The kind of voice that isn't performing confidence, it's just being confident. Try that next time you introduce yourself. Not the version that's trying to sound impressive, the version that already knows what it brings. Because a great intro isn't about sounding perfect. It's about sounding real. Real enough that people want to hear more. It quietly says, I know what I bring, and I am not in a rush to prove it. That is the quiet power right there. So next time someone says, tell us a bit about yourself, do not panic. Anchor, angle, approach, take a breath, and then sit in silence for a second, and then speak in your confident voice. If this episode was helpful, the quiet 5-star kind of love on Spotify goes a long way. And if you want more quiet ways to be yourself and still be seen at work, hit subscribe wherever you're listening. If you like this framework, you'll probably love the full Subtle Scripts pack. It's this growing library of phrases for all those moments at work when your mind goes blank, you don't know what to say, but you still want to be able to come up with something that sounds like you. Thanks for being here. And as always, dare to be awfully quiet. It's a good thing.